Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 6 of the ANZCAR Cup here at Circuit of the Americas, COTA. We are here tonight for the 24/7 Sim Services ANZCAR Cup series, and joining me in the booth tonight on cameras and on voice is Mr. Matt Hunter. Welcome, Matt. How are you going?
Not too bad, thank you, Carl. Yeah, surprise. Should be just doing cameras, but we'll try and do commentary as well, and yeah, see how it goes.
Well, we will. I will carry the weight, and we'll keep it going. But any little input is always useful. We are here tonight on a actual track tonight, so something a bit different, of course. Left and right corners. It's going to throw a spanner in the works for some drivers. It's a bit of a different challenge for everybody tonight, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah, you can definitely see that there's few road course guys are definitely at the front, and then the oval guys are certainly going to struggle pretty mid back. So yeah, you'll definitely see that.
Yeah, the road course specialists are out in force tonight for sure. We have got the lucky 31 out there tonight as well. Raymond Jaeger is going to be taking to the course. He managed to get himself locked in to the lucky 31st spot in the Pinnacle Esports Racing entry. So he will be starting 31st tonight. Probably not the track you'd want the lucky 31 on. It's COTA, but at least you secured yourself into the race for the Cup.
Yeah, you definitely want to be racing in the cup, but I know racing against Raymond last night in the Xfinity series, I know he struggled quite a bit there in the Xfinity, so be interesting to see if he goes any better in the cup car, whether it's more of a challenge for him or not.
Yeah, of course, very different car now. Of course, we're used to having sort of slight similarity between the Xfinity and the Cup cars for the past few years, but now there is a vast difference. Of course, we've got the live rear axle, we've got the flappy paddle gearbox. Well, the sequential gearbox, of course. It's not a flappy paddle; it's a up and down shifter, of course. But it has got 5 gears to it, makes things a little bit different. The car is very, very different to drive as well, much lighter than it used to be. Quite a lot of power. It's a real struggle to get around this track, and I think that's going to catch a few drivers out tonight. And I think getting a tyre temperature up is also going to be something that's going to catch people out. So watch out for the first lap tonight. So let's get to the gridding up process. Let us head to the starting grid. So it's Andrew Dyson on pole. He had a good half-second lead over Luke Rosella, new driver to ANZCAR tonight for the Cup Series, making his debut. Second row, we have Bretton Hobson in third with Cory Mcfarlane, another new entry tonight, another one of those road course specialists. We've got fair few DPR and a fair few Synergy cars out there tonight. Dylan O'Shea and Philip Worley take up the third row. Neil Pearson, Michael Scullop on the fourth. Fifth row is Foster and Lobb. Sixth, we have Freer and Schultz. Seventh is Hederscheid and Turner. Eighth row is Micklemore and Trahere. Ninth row, we have Martin and Douglas. 10th is Williams and Carol Walden. Tim Corn makes it into the cup again with Connor Nixon on the 11th row. 12th, we have Koch and Wellman. 13th row is Danny G and Robert Kendis. 14th, we have Jackson Spencer, Ruben Phelps, and Aidan Schultz take up the final rows of the grid. Jay Schultz, of course, up in 12th. Trouble when you've got two Schultzes in the field. Got to remember which one's which. And then, as I said, lucky 31st for Raymond Jaeger tonight. So he's going to be hoping for a good score in the championship. And before we go completely into it, we'll just run through the championship standings as well. It is Dyson in the lead, 5 points ahead of Pearson. Jason Martin in third, 16 points behind the 21 points behind the leader. 25 points down is Foster in fourth. Bretton Hobson is fifth, 36 points off the lead. 39 points down is Michael Scullop in. Sorry. 39 points is Philip Worley in sixth. Seventh is Skurlock, 40 points off the lead. 42 down is Allison and Danny G. And then Wellman sits in 10th, 59 off the lead. So this will be an exciting one tonight as they start getting around the little bit of warm-up that they do. Not a full lap, of course, just a few corners here as we snake around into the first section of COTA. Of course, it's a long run up to turn one, uphill section. Turn one is going to be one of the most important corners. They're going to go up there with cold brakes and tyres, so there could be some carnage there tonight.
Yeah, I've heard from one of the drivers that the brakes take a few laps to warm up, so it could be a bit dodgy if someone sort of doesn't realise that and they go up to that first couple of corners and they try and slam on the brakes. The braking performance is not going to be there.
Yeah, very much so. Watch out for turns 1, 11, and 12. So those are going to be the big ones where people are going to struggle with those brakes. But they all start lining up. It is going to be Dyson taking the lead as he comes around the final corner for the first time tonight for the first lap of the ANZCAR Cup. 24/7 Sim Services bringing the race. We've got 30 laps here tonight at COTA, and away we go. Good start from Andrew Dyson in the lead. Gets away nicely up the front. It is a battle for second place between Rosella and Hobson. Hobson getting up the inside of his teammate there. They go through the first corner. Are we going to get a clean first corner for everybody? A little bit wide for Worley, but it looks like most people have managed to make it through. Got the braking area right. A bit of a trouble further back, though, as somebody goes around, and it is Daniel Hederscheid. As they go into the S's for the first time tonight. Looks like Hederscheid might have just got a little bit taily and actually caught Jason Martin. So just got on the ripple strips of the exit of turn 1. Spun it around. We've got side-by-side action with Dylan O'Shea moving up the field. Watch out for O'Shea. He's had a stellar week of performances and got a career best P2 in the trucks on Monday night. He's going to be trying to chase down his teammate Andrew Dyson, who's currently in the lead. It is currently Dyson, Rosella, Hobson at the moment. Watch out for Mcfarlane as well. Another new face in the series having a good run. Big lunge a little bit further back. Who's that making a bit of a move? It is the 107, sorry, the 707 of Tom Freer as well. Another of the Synergy drivers and another of those road course specialists trying to make a bit of a move on Michael Skurlock, sorry.
Yeah, he's coming up to the braking zone now. Let's see how he goes. Yeah, nice and deep under brakes here. He's going to get that move done. Pretty clean.
He just cooks it a little bit as Skurlock tries for the up and under. This is gonna give Skurlock the inside for the next set of corners, and he manages to just get that position back. Nicely done there from the 350. Just keeping that position for a little bit longer. We've got to say, Freer looks to have a bit more pace at the moment. One of the other things, of course, tyres getting up to temperature. Always a thing you've got to watch out for in these cars. So expect drivers to start settling in around lap 2. They're probably going to have a slightly easier time as those tyres start to get a little bit better in the heat temperature. Darren Lobb's got a fair bit of damage on the front of his car. I'm just going back to see what happened with that one. Looks like he had a bit of contact in the S's with Tom. With Tom Freer. Just a little bit of impact into the rear. So a few cars carrying some battle wounds early on in this run.
Yeah, I can't quite see which car has gone into the back there, but definitely damage on the front. Just trying to work these cameras to get some nice good views.
Always the fun part of the start of the broadcast, getting the cameras working. Getting them under our control is the hard part sometimes. Dyson's lead has been tuned into a little bit now. Rosella moving up a little bit, so he's starting to catch a little bit onto the DPR car, the familiar orange of Andrew Dyson. The 32 of Rosella having a stellar debut here tonight with his teammate Bretton Hobson just behind him. I think that's going to be a useful little pairing for latter stages of the race. When you've got teammates around you, it does make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, you can definitely sort of work together and sort of, I don't know, sort of block sort of other teams or other drivers. And but yeah, it definitely sort of helps, and you can compare your data and how the car's performing and for you, and little tricks to help.
Very much so. Of course, not much you can do with setup changes. Of course, it is fixed setups, so you can't go changing too much. A few little tweaks on steering angles and brake biases and all this kind of thing, but other than that, there's not really much you can play around with. But these little things can help a little bit. The main thing, of course, is just knowing how the car's going to behave over a longer stint. And a lot of these drivers will have put quite a few hours of testing in for this race. Of course, it is a long one, 30 laps here, but they'll probably try for a single stint, of course. Try to split it into 2 15-stint races to try and keep their time in pit lane to a minimum, because you do lose a fair bit of time when you come down pit road. But the tyre drop-off, it's fairly high at the track sometimes. Oh, who was that having a big moment in one of the corners? I think it might have been Tristan Koch having a big moment just coming through turns 13 and 14 there. Just gets on the gas a little bit too early, spins the back up a little bit, and around he goes. Manages just to save that one. But an easy mistake to make in these new generation of the 7th Gen Cup car.
Yeah, you've got to be nice and easy on putting that pedal down, that gas pedal down. You don't want to spin those rear tyres and get them overheated. Because if you get them overheated, it certainly becomes a lot harder to drive, and you just end up going slower and slower, or spinning out.
That is very true. It's a very tricky thing as well because once they get overheated, it's very hard to get them back into an operational temperature where they like to work, of course. So that can take a long time to get things back into working ranges. Good little battle going on a bit further back, sort of in areas where we sort of on the old ovals you sort of don't tend to be glancing too much, but there is battles going all the way along. You see there Tristan Koch just getting passed by I think that might be Connor Nixon there, just making the move. Just working his way through the field. But Danny G, Jason Martin, Daniel Hederscheid all having a good battle at the moment. Jason Martin carrying a battle wound on his car at the moment, and that's from Hederscheid having a bit of a spin up at turn number 1 just on the exit. So there's a matching little scratch of paint on the left door of Daniel Hederscheid at the moment
Left
from
rear as
Jason
well, by
Martin's
the
car.
looks as well. Yeah, he's been hitting the left rear. I think Daniel Hedershow has.
Yeah,
And
there was a big bit of impact at the beginning, and I reckon that would have been where that's where Jason Martin would have made the contact earlier in the race, and I think that's where that damage came from. See Hedershy just taking a very, very wide entry in there. Martin just manages to get that car stopped in time, and very close racing there. Hedershy just using up probably just one of the little X's there just to get through that position. Dylan O'Shea at the moment is defending hard against Mcfarlane. So good little battle going on there at the moment for P4 and P5. O'Shea, McFarlane, and Pearson. So McFarlane having a stellar debut tonight and really showing he's got some good road racing pace in the next gen Cup car. As O'Shea just disappears into the shadow realm
yeah,
for a
just
moment.
saw that. Yeah, he just sort of dropped out for a bit and then came back. That's good. All those front rotors were pretty hot there under heavy braking pressure.
Yeah, it's places like this where you're going to start getting that glow as the residual heat builds up, of course. And it's sort of, you probably won't find it too much on the early stages of the lap, sort of first or second lap, but as it goes on, those rotors will start building up heat, getting hotter and hotter, and then they'll start giving that beautiful glow that we love to see on a race car. Sitting a bit further back in P10 at the moment is Foster. He's got Philip Worley just in front of him, who's just got the position. So moving up nicely. So sitting back in 11th, sorry, I should say Foster. So just outside the top 10 at the moment. I know Worley has got a lot of road racing experience behind him, but Foster has been really taking it to the rest of the field this week, putting a lot of pressure on, just trying to get those positions, and he has been having a good run on the road courses as well. One of those drivers that very much will undersell himself on the road courses, but has been having a good run. Speaking of drivers that undersell themselves on road courses, Josh Micklemore as well. He had a fantastic run in the Xfinity Series last night, getting a career best P2 on the Oak circuits. So he is going to be pretty happy with that one. And one of those drivers that very much will undersell himself, but has got some skill. Luke Traher as well, another one of those drivers, very quick and very capable. Dave Douglas sitting just behind him. JCW next in that train with Daniel Hederscheid trying to catch up. Foster dropping a couple of positions early on. He's just managed to get past Philip Worley now, so he's having a good little battle with the DPR car at the moment. Just lost a position earlier on in the race, I think it was to Darren Lobb, just getting past him earlier on, and Tom Freer. Those two charging down the track, getting about a 4-second lead over Foster at the moment. But Foster looking pretty settled and trying to battle it in for the top 10 tonight. I think he'd be pretty happy if he can get a top 10 finish, especially with the amount of road course specialists out there. Michael Skurlock having a good run at the moment in P7, just sitting in behind Neil Pearson. A little bit further up the road, it is Cory Mcfarlane and Dylan O'Shea still battling it out. Those two are going at it, hammer and tongs at the moment, bringing us some good fighting. McFarlane managed to get past O'Shea for a few moments, but O'Shea just being a little bit later on the brakes through turn 1, gets the position back through the S's, and there McFarlane's going to have to sit. Not many passing opportunities as you go through this section of track. very hard to pass there, as the car is very easy to unsettle.
It is very hard. It's even very hard when you've got cars versus older tires versus cars on new tires as well. It's like a one sort of groove or one sort of flow area there. So it is, you just kind of just have to tuck in and sit there and wait and hope to get a good run out of the exit of it and make your move here under braking.
Yeah, very much so. The old NASCARs are not really. They're not the nimblest of creatures on the road courses. I drove in the trucks on Monday, and you yourself were driving in the Xfinity last night, so it gives us a little bit of experience. They are definitely not the easiest things to hammer around, especially a place like Kota.
Nah, for that first section of the eastbound corners, it's just like a boat, just slowly rolling over through the corners, and well, at least it is for me anyway. I'm sure for the really
I
good
think
guys, it's a lot better for them.
I think that's been a bit mean to boats. They're a bit more nimble than that. It's kind of like trying to thread a planet through a needle at the moment. They are not easy to do. But
No,
yeah, some of those drivers, they make it look easy, and it just makes it's sickening to see, but great to see how good they are.
yeah, some guys, they just, well, some of these drivers here, they just can drive anything around here, really, really, really quick.
Yeah, it's impressive to see. We might jump on board with our leader in a moment and get a bit of an idea. But this battle between O'Shea and Mcfarlane it's given us great stuff. Might jump on board with Mcfarlane if he stays ahead here. Gets a good run here on O'Shea. O'Shea just getting back
Crossover.
underneath it.
Yep. All right, let's jump on board.
So as we come down turn 2 right here, heading up towards turn 3 and 4 now in the S's, and you can see just how close these guys get. And it is just getting this car through in second gear. It's just waiting and being very cautious on the accelerator. You can see the revs there just keeping relatively low as they head up towards turn 6 and 7 now. 8 and 9 through this section now, heading uphill. Big brow of the hill here, almost unseen corner. There's a little kink as you go down turn 10, and this can throw the cars off very easily. Heavy braking point down into turn 11, and you can see Mcfarlane tries for the move here. Late braking, gets the up and under, doesn't quite get it stopped in time. This gives O'Shea the bounce back. Brilliant battle between these two drivers at the moment. This is exactly what we want to see. The longest straight here at Kota now. It's a 5.5-kilometer circuit, a big long place. Going to be getting up into around about 5th gear here as you get down towards the end of the straight, braking and going down into first for turn 12 now. Very, very tight left-hand corner, heading up to the bit of a kink here with 13 and 14. Long sort of double apex corner now. Just keeping the car cruising through there, not getting on the accelerator too hard. Down towards 15 and 16, another set of double apex corners. Turn 16 is a really tricky corner. It can be very, very sort of, it almost catches you out. Then the long sweeping 17 and 18 now. Car goes through here. You just got to get it settled. Don't want to be too harsh on the gas because the back end will step out. Mcfarlane trying to make a move there. Can't quite make it done. Turn 19 now. Tight left-hander. Second gear corner. Just brake into there. Get the car sort of turned in nicely. Heading up to the final corner of turn 20. Dropping down to around about first gear now. On the back of O'Shea once more. The long start finish straight now up towards turn 1. You can see how steep it is here. Just in front of O'Shea. Not much view out the front of these cars, but the steep hill up again. And this helps with the braking for the cars. You can just brake a little bit later. Turn 1 down into first gear once more. Mcfarlane tries to take a time to apex here to try and get underneath O'Shea. Doesn't quite get the move made this time, but that is a lap of Circuit of the Americas. A very tricky track to get right in these big, heavy NASCARs.
Sure is. Yeah, it was a pretty intense lap there. It's definitely a pretty hard battle going on there. Couple of things I did notice though. O'Shea weaving down the straight, trying to break the draft. And if you notice in front of O'Shea, the gap is, I think it's about 7 seconds gap to the car in front. So because they're battling each other, they're actually costing themselves time. They're actually losing a lot of time to the cars in front.
Yeah, they've lost a lot on the leaders at the moment. Dyson's still leading. He's only got a lead of about 0.8 of a second at the moment. All very late into the break in there for Mcfarlane, and O'Shea just gets that position back. And now Neil Pearson's going to have a run down the straight. This is going to give him the opportunity down as they come down to turn 12. Will Pearson be able to make the move here? He's going to try for the outside now. Goes back to the inside. Will he get this one done? Looks like he's not quite settled to make the move. Mcfarlane manages to keep that position, but this battle is just costing him time so much and giving the leaders a chance to run away. Good 7 seconds, or 7 to 8 seconds now between themselves and Bretton Hobson in third. From first to third, though, there's only 1.5 seconds, so there's absolutely nothing between the leaders. This gap here you see on screen is about as close as it is for the leaders at the moment. They're not quite as racy, but they're just sitting in front of each other at the moment and just pulling out a nice bit of a gap before they start racing as hard as these guys. Good little battles going on throughout the field at the moment. But as this battle continues, it's given people like Skurlock the opportunity to catch up as well. Skurlock's catching up onto the back of this group, and that's giving Tom Freer and Darren Lobbett as well a chance to move in on this pack. A little bit further back, Foster's still in P10, just ahead of Wally, who is trying to get that P10 position back. Can't quite make the move work. Then you've got Josh Mickelmore with a nice bit of gap in 12th. Josh Mickelmore's been overtaken by
Luke Traherne.
Yeah, Luke Traherne just getting past Josh Mickelmore there. I wonder if there was a bit of a mistake there from Joshy. Let's go back to a bit of a look-see at that one. So, no, just Traherne just had a good run up into turn 1. So those two are sort of got a nice bit of a gap between them at the moment, just ahead of Kai Turner, who is back in 14th position. He's having Dave Douglas look at making a move at the moment. Can't quite get it done. Dave Douglas just ahead of Heddershide, who had that little moment at the start of the race that cost him dearly, dropped him right down the field. We know Dan is very quick on the road circuits. His teammate Joshua Carroll-Walton just sitting in behind him in 17th place. Jason Martin in 18th. 19th, forgot Riley Curtis. I mean, a solid run, just ahead of Danny G at the moment. And a little bit further down, 21st, got Connor Nixon, Ruben Phelps, Tim Corn, who's getting back into the Cup Series for the first time for a couple of races. Nice to see the Locked On iRacing car back in the server. Of course, you can catch all the news and results over on Locked On iRacing's podcast. Will be out, and it's their 1-year anniversary this week as well. So congratulations to them. Aidan Schultz up in 24th at the moment, just ahead of Jai Schultz, his teammate there. So Jai Schultz dropping down the order a little bit, qualified 12th, dropped down to 25th position, but having a fairly solid run at the moment. Gary Bowman, Tristan Koch, Stephen Williams, Raymond Yeager, Greg Spencer, and Paul Jackson at the moment. The last car and the only car a lap down, but he has just come into the pit lane, so Paul Jackson is on some fresh boots, so it'll be interesting to see how much that affects his lap times. So as we glance through the field, the battle between O'Shea and Mcfarlane has really given Skurlock a chance to catch right up. This battle is really cool. There is actually Tom Freer's got past Skirley now, so Freer is getting on the back of this battle pack, and I think this is where all the action is going to be as this race continues. This fight is fantastic stuff for P4, as once again Mcfarlane goes for a long late dive up the inside of turn 1, makes it wide, and that's going to give Pearson the opportunity to get through here. Pearson's going to get through and up into 5th position now as they go through the S's. One thing that Mcfarlane's got to watch out for are those incident points, of course. You've only got 12 of them before you get a drive-through penalty, of course. 17 of them, and you will be disqualified. So that's another thing that you've got to really keep an eye out for on this track, because it's very easy to get an off-track penalty, of course.
Yeah, the track limits are always a bit of a conversation around here. Yeah, very, very easy to pick up a 1X, and you pick up a couple of those every lap, and all of a sudden within 10 laps you've got to drive through, and you could be looking at getting DQ'd. Yeah, there's only 17 you can do.
Yeah, it's very painful when that happens.
Oh. O'Shea sort of just dropped out of the server there and back in right in the middle of the corner, so good job by Neil to avoid him.
Yeah, very good job. I guess that's the good thing about teammates, but O'Shea's lost a position now, as you can see Mcfarlane again trying down the inside, going for that late lunge. Oh, bit of tail wiggle there. Very, very close, but he's might have finally got the move done on the pink flavour of DPR car, getting past O'Shea. Mcfarlane getting up into P5 at the moment. So nice little run for him there, and O'Shea just being shuffled back. So they've almost swapped positions. It was Pearson who was at the back of this pack before the start of the lap, and now he's at the front of that pack. But watch out for Tom Freer as well. We've seen him very quick. Another one of the Synergy Sim Racing boys. They've had some really good runs recently and been improving on the oval side, but also, of course, this is their speciality, the road courses, of course. So we'll see how they go in the race. Really nice job from Skirley at the moment. We know that Skirlock is always quick, and he is one of those drivers that we don't sort of talk too much about as road course specialists, but he is very quick on the old road courses as well. He's keeping the car up there in contention. Just off the back of them is Foster and Worley as well. So currently the top 11, probably the closest out of the group to the leaders. So only 20 seconds to the leaders for them. And then a further 10 seconds back is Luke Trahere in 12th position, 30 seconds off the leader at the moment. So just watching the front now, Dyson's coming under pressure a bit from Rosella. So it is a good little battle. There's less than a couple of attempts in it. Rosella is starting to look a little bit racy now in the 32, getting a nice run on Dyson. And he could have an opportunity come this lap because he has been getting closer and closer, eating away at that gap at the front. And just getting up there nicely. As speaking of moving his way past Cory Mcfarlane now, the driver's given us a lot of entertainment tonight. Has managed to move up into P4 now ahead of Pearson, so he's managed to get back into the lead of that pack. So that fight is ever going. If ever we need some action, we know where to jump back to.
Just looking at that front group of cars, I'm wondering if it's going to come down to who pits first and whether they get an undercut on the fresh tyres, because they look to be pretty close on the track there. So yeah, I think maybe one of them might try and come in a little bit early, maybe sort of lap 13, 14, try and get an undercut over the other two drivers and see if that pays off for them.
Yeah, of course, you can have the overcut work for you as well as Tim Corn having a big disconnect. He is actually making a move on Ruben Phelps at the time, and then I think he had a big disconnect moment, and that was it. It's the end of his race. So luckily, no contact between him and Phelps, but that's a shame for him because he was running quite well up there in 22nd position. So a big shame for Tim Corn. But yeah, the undercut it can be quite powerful here. Of course, you can sometimes use the overcut to the advantage. And what we mean by the undercut and overcut is, of course, when you stop first, you get those fresh tyres and you can run up a little bit of a lead. But you do use those tyres up a little bit sooner. And then if you stay out a little bit longer, you've got nicer tyres for the end of the race. So it sometimes one can pay off better than the others, but we have seen here at COTA the undercut tends to be the slightly better advantage unless you've got a real big pace deficit when you can actually take advantage of the overcut situation. And I don't think any of these three at the front really have enough pace to really get that take advantage of that. They're very close to each other, so it'll be interesting to see who comes in first. Of course, you don't want to come in too early because if you come in, say now, you're going to leave yourself pretty open for the next 19 or so laps. But we are seeing a few people coming in a few people possibly thinking about trying that early stop, but probably about lap 14 would be the earliest you'd want to try the undercut. And lap 16 probably the latest you'd want to try the overcut. Lap 15, of course, being the ideal time to stop in the 30-lap race.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see too much variation between which lap people put on, but it can depend as well on your flow, if you've got a good rhythm and you want to just stick into it and stay into it. I know last night, I mean, obviously I was struggling on the road course, but I felt like I was in a pretty good rhythm and flow, and I was actually going to just keep going out past the halfway mark, but the cars around me pitted, and I thought, I better cover them off, and so I ducked in and the next lap to cut them off, but that was enough for them to get a few seconds ahead of me.
speaking of people having big moments, Kai Turner back on lap 9, he had a big moment up in the S's and lost the front end, and unfortunately his night is over and done with. So that is another one to add to the retired list. Currently, Tim Thorne and Kai Turner, the two cars that are out of this race. Paul Jackson a lap down at the moment, but still in the race. Michael Scullock and Foster into pit lane. Interesting strategy here. Lap 12, that is very early. I wonder if they're looking even at a two-stop.
Hmm. Don't know. Maybe they
Because,
feel like the tires maybe might not drop off any more than what they have now. Let's see. That looks like they're both sort of doing 4 tires each. I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah, I don't think the two-stop would give you that much of an advantage. I mean the leader lap times are only dropping off by maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds a lap.
yeah. Interesting, interesting. We got some strategy. We got some
Oh,
different
Skullock
strategies.
spun out of the pit.
That is not what you want. That is exactly the thing you've got to be careful of when you come in for those fresh tyres, because they are cold. And of course, the brakes have dropped temperature as well. He's come up to the first corner there, and the rear has just spun out on him. He's just got on the gas a little bit too early. Caught a little bit too much of the curb, actually, and that spun him around. And Foster just avoiding that one. But that's dropped him right down, and that's really going to hurt that strategy. So that's going to be a painful one for Skurlock. It's not dropped him down many positions. He only really lost sort of one position out of it between himself and Foster, and that was Riley Curtis. But he lost a heap of time.
Yeah, once everybody pits and it sort of washes out, he'll be down a few positions, I'm sure.
It was a good about 6 seconds he lost then, which is, again, is not
Oh, he's done
too
it again.
at all. That's even more painful there, and that's going to
Yeah.
start heating up the tyres a little bit now as he's started to. It just will have possibly just got a little bit more temperature into them now. But he could have just got a bit too much temperature as he sort of got that lateral load into them, and they just might need a couple of moments just to cool down a little bit now. It's the opposite problem. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Dyson has got result all over the back of him at the moment. Those two are very close at the moment. Last time round, Luke was a good 1/10 quicker as well. So Luke Rosello, the fastest man on the circuit at the moment, as they just get past Paul Jackson coming down towards the S's. Jackson doing a very nice move there just to let them through, not putting too much pressure on to those cars at all, which is exactly what you want to do when you're getting passed by a group of faster cars. But look at how close this battle is, all over the back of Dyson at the moment. The 32 on the 41 at the moment. This is bringing the 88 of Hobson into this fight as well. They are nose to tail at the moment. Luke Trahair coming into pit lane as well as Dave Douglas. So maybe it's a wouldn't be a fuel thing, would it? Really, I don't think. So
No.
I think I'm pretty sure it's definitely a bit of a strategy call on the tyres. So maybe trying really big undercut here, or possibly a two-stop strategy. We've still got 17 laps remaining. We've only done 13 laps, so it's a long old stint to take these tyres right now. So that could be a tricky one for these drivers.
Indeed, and I think these top 3 drivers look like they might be just pushing a little bit hard. I think, if they're planning on pitting in the next couple of laps, you know, if you've got a little bit of life left on those tyres, you push them a bit hard, knowing that you're going to be replacing them in 2 laps or so.
Yeah, you want to get every last little bit of rubber out of those tyres if you can, and really just put them through their paces. So be interesting to see if any of these 3 drivers come in this lap. There's less than a second separating the top 3 at the moment. Absolutely nothing between them as they go through 17 and 18. I wonder if we will see Dyson just flick it into the pits. Of course, being the leader in this position is not the best thing to have, because you kind of sit in an awkward position as they stick it out one more time, as the fantastic new graphics come up as well. Maddie Hunter and the AVTO doing a fantastic job on some of the new little features, giving us the ability to actually get the paints up as well. So it's looking very slick indeed, helping make it easier to spot the drivers and the cars now. But this battle at the front is definitely on. Philip Worley coming into pit lane now, so he's decided to come in, cover off Foster a little bit. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see how powerful the undercut is now. You got to wonder though if it's going to be as Rosella gets a good run on Dyson, tries for the move, doesn't quite make it there. Very close. I was just about to say, I wonder if this new generation of car will actually have as much advantage with the undercut because of the cold tyre factor. Because they're going to warm up their tyres a little bit, I wonder if the undercut will have some prices. The 32 makes a
We're gonna look
big
up.
move down the inside, locks it up, doesn't quite make it. Rosella goes wide. That's going to give Hobson P2. Rosella just moving it out, and I reckon we'll see Rosella coming into pit lane very shortly. I wonder if he's going to try and come in to try and force Dyson to cover him off, do a little bit of a strategy play.
Yeah,
But
they're just so close on time and lap times and speed that yeah, I think they may only be able to pass them through pit lane.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle for sure. So Wally's come out, and he is a good at 5 seconds behind Foster. So at 5 seconds in a lap on those tyres. So that really gives us a good bit of information there. So that definitely says the undercut is paying off, but I think you still just have to be that little bit cautious as you come out of pit lane, just on those cold tyres. And you might find that if you've actually got, if you pit the lap before and you've got sort of nice warm tyres, you'll probably be able to pit the guy in front of you if you're close enough. It'll be a bit like in Formula racing when you come in as Andrew
Dyson's
Dyson
in.
pits. Dyson the first into pit lane, so he's decided to come in. And interesting, Hobson and Rosella did not follow him, so they're going to stick it out for one more lap. Neil Pearson, will he come in this time? No, he doesn't. So Pearson, Farland, O'Shea stick it out. Freer coming into pit lane now. So we've got a mix of strategies now. So I think Hobson and Rosella are going to try the overcut. They might even try to go one extra lap here, just see if they can get that done. Just try and get the freshest tyres for the end of the race. But I think what we might see is when a car comes out, it might be a little bit at risk if there's a car quite close to it on some slightly warmer tyres, just because the tyres will be up to temperature, the car will be in operational window, and they might just be able to get the jump on them a little bit quicker. But then the next lap is when those fresher tyres will come into play, and they'll sort of get that place back. So interesting to see how that one plays out as Foster just gets past Tom Freer there. So that's quite a big jump up. Foster managing to get past Freer. That's showing how big of a jump you get on those fresh tyres. So he gained a good amount of time there, but Freer now will have those fresher tyres towards the end of the race. Will he be able to get that place back? Of course, catching is one thing, passing is very much another.
It is
As
indeed.
Mcfarlane and Pearson now battling it out. Again, we've got the fight carrying on track. Mcfarlane on the inside, Pearson on the outside. Mcfarlane gets a nice run there and manages to get back into fourth place. This fight has been constantly going on.
It's been a good battle all race. It's been good to see. I've been a bit worried that maybe there might be a bit of contact and someone might end up getting spun from it, but it's they've been doing a really good job.
Yeah, fantastic effort from all the drivers tonight, and there's been some really good close racing out there. As the leaders come in, Hobbo and Rosella coming into pit lane now. So where will they come out behind Dyson? How much of a lead will Dyson have now? That's going to be an interesting little thing to see. Will we see Pearson, Mcfarlane, and O'Shea come in this time round as well? As Mcfarlane does come in, Pearson and O'Shea sticking it out. They're going to try another lap longer. So the battle is on. So whereabouts is Dyson? He's just getting into the straight now. So he's on the start-finish straight, getting up to the first corner. Hobson just leaving pit lane now. He's just exiting now. So there's going to be a bit of a gap here. So you can see Dyson just getting into the first corner now. Hobson and Rosella just getting out of pit lane as Hobson loses it. Hobson loops it on the exit. That's disastrous for Hobson. That is really going to hurt his chances tonight. So that is not what you want to do. We saw that with Skurlock as well. very easy to do to lose the back end of these cars on those fresh tyres.
Yeah, they're pushing pretty hard. Pushing pretty hard out of the pits to try and make that time up, but yeah, it's cost them a lot there, that's for sure. Dyson's
Neil Pearce.
just trying to work out what sort of gap Dyson's going to have. I think he's going to have about a 3-second gap once the top three pit.
He's just...
If that's the case, he's done a really good in lap and a really good out lap. He's really made up some time.
He has. From my time screen, he's got about 5 seconds at the moment. So that's a lot of time gained there. Really taking advantage of those fresh tyres. Neil Pearson in the lead of this race at the moment. He is currently in the lead because he's not yet stopped for tyres. Dylan O'Shea in second with Darren Lobb in third position. So it is a absolute DPR train at the moment of a 4-car DPR train in the lead of this race. But Pearson, O'Shea and Lobb have all got to come into pit lane.
It's interesting to see that Dyson's, he's almost catching them. Like he's only 6 seconds behind the top three, and they've still got a pit.
Dude, Pearson sticks it out for one more lap, so he's just going to stick it out there, get a bonus point for leading, and he'll have some nice fresh tyres to the end. Lobb as well stuck it out there. Dyson is catching at a vast rate of knots here, and will be past him in a few moments. Andrew Dyson at last lap 2:11.
He just turned the hammer up, yeah.
That is a very, very quick lap. Luke Rosella's fastest lap before that was a 2:12.6. So that just shows that Dyson's just got that little bit of pace left in there when he needs it. What can Hobson and Rosella do, though? Will they be able to catch up a little bit later on? We've still got 13 laps remaining, a long way to go in this race. So that's going to be interesting to see how this one works out. Just looking a little bit further down the field, currently running in 7th place, is Foster. He is currently trying to defend against Tom Freer and Philip Worley. Those are the big two that he's going to be fighting against. I wonder if Freer's actually ended up with a bit of a penalty because he's lost a lot of time. I'm just going back to have a little bit of a look at this one. He has been fighting it out with Worley as well, so those two have been costing each other time in that one. But we saw Freer was running up pretty high in the rankings earlier on, so
I think he might have had an off track. I'll just have a quick look and see if we can play it.
He had a big moment in the S's with Philip Worley. He actually made contact with Worley, I think. So he's had a big moment of contact on lap 15.
Yeah, so that car's looking a bit damaged.
Yeah, the battle there. Philip Worley had a moment. So Philip Worley actually spun in the S's. So Worley's gone around and then Freer has gone into the back of him, unfortunately. Freer actually caught the big yellow curb and went into him, and Worley was sort of sliding across the track. That's a big, big impact for those two cars because those two had some quick pace, but that's kind of good news for Foster at the moment. He's got O'Shea just behind him as it stands. So O'Shea will catch Foster relatively quickly. Doubt there's going to be too much Foster can do against him as Neil Pearson and Darren Lobb both pit now. O'Shea, of course, on much fresher tyres. O'Shea on 5-lap younger tyres now than Foster. So the overcut strategy for O'Shea in that respect. But he has lost a lot of time to the guys that pitted early. Meanwhile, up at the front, it's 4.8 seconds. 4.7 seconds as Rosella sets a 2:11.5. Oh, that is a fast lap. We thought 2:11.8 was quick from Andrew Dyson. Rosella's just gone, yep, I will take that and raise that one. 2:11.5 for Rosella. He is absolutely catching Dyson now. He is going to be catching him at a vast rate of knots. But will he use a bit too much of his tyres up doing so?
Yeah, I think they're both pushing pretty hard and know what they can do on the tyres now. It'll be interesting to see if they sort of have worn them out in the stint But this is probably the laps that are going to decide the race. Really, this is when they're pushing really, really hard.
Yeah, that's a ridiculously quick lap at 2:11.5. That's jaw-droppingly quick. I wish I could be within a second of that lap time. In all honesty, I would be very happy with that. Um, but yeah, really, really good lap running there, and a good debut by Luke Russell as well. As we say, first time in the Cup Series, making his first appearance tonight in ANZCAR. So having if he's going to make a debut, you might as well have a strong one, and he is doing that at the moment, chasing down Andrew Dyson. What can Dyson do uh, in response to that lap time? I don't know if he's got anything to answer at the moment because he is still losing time to Rosella.
I think it was about a second that last lap. Yeah, it's sitting pretty solid at about 4 seconds. I think the gap.
Well, beginning of the lap, it was about 5 seconds, and now it is almost to well 4 on the dot. So they are really going for it. Last lap round, Andrew Dyson 2:12.5, Luke Rosella 2:11.7. That is a big difference in time there, but the tyres are going to start plateauing a little bit, and the advantage will start dropping off. You've got to say.
It should do. Yeah, it's going to be who's going to burn those tires out first if they are going to burn out. Having a little look at the data that we can obviously see. I see that a big difference is pit lane time. There was 2 seconds difference in pit lane time between Luke and Andrew, and I think that sort of helped get Andrew that big lead when he came out of the pits of 5 or 6 seconds. But it's definitely getting eaten away now. I think it's down to 3.5 seconds. So Luke is definitely catching in a hurry. But yeah, it's one thing to catch, but it's another thing to pass.
Indeed. Dyson, really good in pit lane overall time usually. He's one of the faster guys in that respect. Foster was very close to him with a 35.2 lane transition time. Dyson was a 35.1. So, they're right on it. They're really on the bubble at the moment. And, every advantage can help. It's literally tiny, tiny bits in there that can make a difference. A little bit further back, Foster now having to defend against O'Shea and Pearson. He's got two very fast DPR cars on very fresh tyres now, charging up behind him. There's not going to be much he can do to defend against these two cars, but he will absolutely make that car as wide as possible. He's not going to make it easy for them, but I imagine they will be able to get underneath him and pass without too much concern. You can see there Foster just cutting off Pearson a little bit. He's still trying to race. He's still going for it. But those fresh tyres absolutely helping the other cars out. Just take some slightly tighter lines. Just able to use a little bit more of the track and
Yeah,
get through. But Foster doing a sterling job of defending there.
yeah. He might have felt like O'Shea might have sort of just held him up a little bit there just to set him up for Neil to make the pass. So that's why he's sort of fighting pretty hard there. Um, Holding Neil out to the high side as well, or wide line, so he couldn't come back in. But that's good teamwork. If you've got two cars in working together on teammates, that's what you need to do.
It is. And just behind him, they got Darren Lobb as well, just catching up to this as well. So it's very much a team effort for DPR at the moment. Foster doing a really good job of actually defending, and that's showing the drop off on tyres is not as bad as we've seen in some of the other series. This new tyre, of course, slightly wider, slightly bigger wheel, of course, and slightly lower profile tyre, and it definitely doesn't drop off the cliff nearly as much as the Xfinity and truck does these days. If you had 5 laps difference between those tyres, it would be such an easy pass. It's almost like you're standing still sometimes. But really good defensive driving here. And once you get to the S's, there's not really much you can do. Even on fresh tyres, you can't really get past a car in those sections. We saw Skurlock having that spin, and he's dropped back a little bit. So he's a good 10 it's actually almost 20 seconds off Foster at the moment, so he's dropped down into 10th position, just behind Philip Worley and Darren Lobb. So that hurt Skurlock out, that little moment that we saw coming out pit lane, and that secondary spin really hurt his performance out for tonight. Danny G having a stellar night as well, down in 16th position. He's gained 9 positions in this race, so he's having a good run out there at the moment for the Mixed Motorsport team, defending against Joshua Carroll Walden. So a nice run for Danny G. He's going to be pretty happy with that one, I am sure.
Yeah,
The
he's
gap at
probably not a fan of the road course, Danny. So he'd probably just be happy to just get out for some points.
That's it. It's damage limitation, isn't it, really, in this situation? The gap at the front now down to 2.7 seconds. So it is closing. Dyson is starting to fall into the grasps of Luke Rosella. Rosella, a good second faster that last lap around. So he is catching at a vast rate of knots. Bretton Hobson is faster than Dyson as well, but he has got 14 seconds after that spin. That really cost Hobson out quite a bit. And Cory Mcfarlane as well, having a really good run in 4th place, the other debutant tonight in the Cup Series. He's got a nice big gap over Pearson and O'Shea, around about 7 seconds now over O'Shea. So he's got a nice bit of gap there. Oh, Pearson loses it up into turn 1. Big moment for Pearson. Foster just managing to squeeze through there. That's going to be costly for Pearson. What happened in that one there? Just going back to have a little bit of a look at that one.
So I'll have a look.
Pearson,
Try and have a look as well.
yeah, so Pearson just losing the rear of the car, just has a loss of the rear there. We can see it here, just loops it around. And Foster, again, just having to do some great avoidance driving, just getting around there. And that really has really cost Pearson out a fair bit there. He's fallen back to 8th position, and that's actually going to help Foster out a little bit now, as he's got a little bit of gap over Darren Lobb and Philip Worley and Neil Pearson. So interesting to see that little fight going on. Of course, Foster did stop very early, so I wonder if Foster might need to come in again. Be interesting to see if he can make it to the end on those tyres. He's almost on his 10th lap now with 9 remaining, so he's got a fairly long run to go in those tyres, and I imagine by the end of it they'll start being a little bit less happy about their condition.
Looks like the lap times at the front are sort of evening out. Dyson for 2:13.7 that last lap, and Rosella with a 2:13.6. So I think he might have used those tyres and only got 2.3 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's still closing up a little bit, but it's it's definitely evening out a little bit. And yeah, that's really starting to get. I reckon we might get a bit of a battle towards the end. It's going to be interesting to see how that one goes. Of course, Rosella on 1 lap fresher tyres, so he might have a little bit more to give at the end. But did he take a bit too much out of those tyres, pushing a little bit too early? Just going back a bit further back, 24th, 25th, Tristan Koch and Stephen Williams. Those two were having a good battle up the main straight, and Tristan Koch managing to get that position. We've got the battle of the Schultzes going on down for 21st and 22nd, and it's currently Aidan Schultz in the lead of that battle, just getting past Ruben Phelps there, as Ruben Phelps, I think, made a bit of a lock-up, just lost the rear of that car going through turn 13, I think it was, just got a little bit too quick on the power, and Aidan Schultz just getting through there and himself up into P20 now, so the battle of who the better Schultz is on between those two. I do know that Jai and Aidan do like to see who can be the better of the two out of those two.
I think they even call them their nicknames the better Schultz for one of them. Yeah.
The battle of the Schultzes. Whoever wins the night before gets the better the
better Schultz
protect.
award.
Yep. It's a constant battle. The gap up front is still closing. It's gone down to, it's almost below 2 seconds. So this gap is starting to close a little bit. Interesting to see. Um, as I said, I reckon we might be in for some good racing as this one comes down to the wire. Dyson's going to have to do a lot of defending to make this one work.
He could also be sort of just saving a little bit of tyre and managing that gap.
Trying his best. A little bit further back, Tom Freer making a move on Michael Skurlock now. Those two battling it out. Skurlock starting to struggle a little bit with these tyres. The rear of that car is looking a little bit worse for wear. A little bit wiggly, but he's managing to keep it up there. Just ahead of Freer. This is the battle for P10 at the moment. And I'm sure Tom Freer would very much like to get a top 10 finish tonight. It's been a fairly good season for himself. Of course, first season in the Cup Series, and he's been having some pretty decent little results. New to the ANZCAR Series as well. And he's going to be hoping to try and get his first top 10 finish tonight, at least. And if you can get a top 10, it's always a nice feeling.
Especially with the way the field is now, that's for sure. With the, it's definitely a big stacked field.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's something.
I think he overshot that corner there. It's the comment. It's the camera curse. We're riding on board, and he has a bit of a mistake.
As is always tradition. Always the way it goes. But yeah, it is absolutely, it's just absolutely stacked field recently, and we've got so many good drivers out there. You know, we talk about some of the drivers. You know, we're looking at some of the drivers down in the lower ends of the field. You know, from P15, P14 downwards, you've got people like Dave Douglas, Danny G, JCW, Jason Martin, Ruben Phelps, Aiden Schultz, Stephen Williams. You know, these are all people who won championships or won races in the ANZCAR series. Many of them winning cup races as well. So these are not slow drivers, and they've been struggling to get into top tens this season. You know, it's been a really competitive field, not just on the road course side, but on the ovals as well. It's been great to see.
That's definitely what we want. This is definitely our top competition. We want the our top series. We want the competition to be tough and hard, and it's definitely what we're seeing this year. Oh, Justin has a half spin in front of Steve. Saved it. That's good.
Managed to keep the car going, importantly, and
Hmm.
you know, championship points. That's the main thing you're going to be looking for. He's just ahead of the lucky 31 at the moment, Raymond Yeager. Raymond Yeager up in 26th position at the moment, so a few championship points up for grab there, and he'll be pretty happy with that if he can get that finish. As just saw coming out lane. But yeah, it's a good finish if you can get well inside the top 20 tonight. He'll be pretty chuffed with that one. Help with some championship points in the tally. And it's always nice if you can get a few of those stacked up, of course. The top 20 locked in every race in the ANZCAR Cup Series, of course. So if you can get yourself in the top 20 in the championship, you're going to be pretty happy about that. Because you can get yourself locked into a spot. Of course, the other 10 spots are from qualifying. So you need to qualify your way in. And then, of course, we have the lucky 31, which is it's a sort of bonus race. And if you win that race, you lock yourself in for the next race, of course. So a new thing for this season.
Yeah,
As
and in response to the demand for positions, we had to.
exactly. I mean, it's we're talking before. We had almost 45 cars come turn up tonight for the race, which is, I think that's probably the most we've ever seen here at COTA. Um, it's a real big turnout, and it's great to see so many people wanting to get into the Cup Series. Just looking down the field a little bit, Darren Lobb has managed to get past Foster. So Foster falling back a little bit on those old tyres. And Pearson starting to chase back towards him now with Philip Wally. So that battle is going to be on relatively soon. Meanwhile, up the front, very nice lap from Luke Rosella again. And that's brought the gap down to 1.5 seconds. Rosella a 2:13 dead. Dyson a 2:13.7. So Rizzona's definitely got some pace in that car. He is catching the leader. At this rate, it's going to be about 2 or 3 more laps until we see this battle back on again. Dyson is going to have to start defending or putting in some good laps.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting down to the finish. It'd be interesting to see if there's a bit of a move to sort of move the other car out of the way or not, whether it sticks to doing it clean.
If you get a win on your debut, that is always a nice feeling. So I'm sure he will be trying. The other song as well, Cory Mcfarlane, he's just behind Bretton Hobson at the moment. About 4 seconds between those two. And Mcfarlane has been catching Hobson as well. Not quite at the speed he needs to. He might just about be able to get there. But he is on the same tyre strategy, though. So those two, same tyre strategy. So that might be another little battle to watch out for. So we might, well, there is that possibility that we could see two debutants coming into this, into the top three tonight for this race. And that will be quite the story. A little bit further up the field, Ruben Phelps is having to defend himself against the other Schultz at the moment. Those two battling away as Jai Schultz tries to make the move on Ruben Phelps. Ruben struggling a little bit on those tyres, it looks like. Really losing that rear end quite a bit. Ruben is on some slightly fresher tyres, but it just looks like that car is not quite as balanced as he'd like it at the moment, and loses out the position to Jai Schultz there.
Yeah, good clean move there by Jai there in the end, but it looks like Ruben's got a bit of a run to come back.
Yeah, Ruben's had a
He's
fairly
making the
quiet.
dive.
Does he keep
He's
it
got it
there?
done. Yeah.
Very nice indeed. A little bit tail happy on the exit, but he manages to keep it there, and now he's got the lead as they come into the S's, which is always a nice spot to have. Currently, we have got 4 cars out of the race. Sorry, 3 cars out of the race. Nixon, Turner, and Corn. Greg Spencer is the final car that's running out there in 29th position. Won't be too long though until he can get up past Colin Nixon up into 28th position. Paul Jackson still circulating. It's 3 laps down, had a bit of a rough race, but still keeping it going up in 27th position. Raymond Jaeger coming into pit lane as he's got some damage on the front of that car. Going back to see what's actually happened to Jaeger there. Um, he's obviously had a bit of a moment. Oh, we had a big moment up after the S's, just going through the kink of turn 10, I think it was. Just carried a bit too much speed there, and there's a nasty little bump if you take that corner a little bit too close. And he's had a big thump into the wall there, so that's quite a bit of damage. So I think he's coming in for a bit of repair.
Just having a look back here. Ruben's sort of just locked up in the corner there and let Jai through again.
Luke Traher coming into pit lane. So is Luke coming in for a penalty? It looks like he might be. So Luke Traher, first of the drivers to get caught out that I've seen with the strikes. So he has had to come in and serve a drive-through penalty, and that's something you've got to be careful of. It's very easy to build up those instant points, and if you get that drive-through, that's pretty much your race over and done with. Luke down in 13th position, but that will have been painful.
Yeah, there's a number of drivers that are pretty close. I'm seeing some 10s and 11s and 13, 15 for Ruben Phelps. So he's only 2
Yeah,
incident points away from a DQ. He needs to be really careful.
yeah, I think Ruben Phelps has actually just come into pit lane now, possibly to serve that drive-through penalty.
Yeah.
Um, so he is getting very close to that one. I've got a fair few up on my screen at the moment that are, I'd say, are not actually correct, because if they were, they would have had to have done their drive-through already. But there are some people that are very close to the limits now, and it is really tricky to do because keeping the cars between those white lines is a very hard thing to do. Of course, iRacing automatically will ping you if you take too much corner. And loss of car control as well, that will bring up the strikes as well. So if you spin the car, it can be quite painful if you make contact with another car, of course, as well. Um, it can really be very tricky. And sometimes, especially here at Kota, the track limits, you feel like you're within those white lines, and you're not. So sometimes it can be a little bit painful because you sort of go, well, I'm pretty sure I had at least two wheels inside the white lines. And yeah, it can sometimes catch you out. A few of these corners are a bit tricky.
Yeah, he needs to be very, very careful for the rest of this race. Just jump back into the leaders here, I think. Oh, a bit of that traffic's playing, causing Dyson to sort of be caught a little bit more by Luke. But I think it is evening out there. I think the same lap traffic that's an issue for Andrew is also an issue for Luke. So the gap's fluctuating quite a bit.
Yeah, sorry, I was just having a bit look through my
That's all right, I was just waffling along there.
my system's been playing around a little bit because it was coming up that Hobbo had come into pit lane. I was just like, wait, what? No, he definitely hasn't. But yeah, sometimes the graphics don't always tell us the truth. Foster is being caught up to by Neil Pearson now. Only 3 laps remaining. Foster is doing a good job on those tyres. Those tyres are very much getting towards the end of their shelf life now on their 16th lap. So they are going to be some of the oldest tyres out there for sure. We saw Foster coming in very early, trying a slightly different strategy run. But it's currently paying off for him because he's jumped up to P7. If he can defend and keep Pearson and Worley off him, then it will be very good news for him, and that will be a very good job done for him tonight. He'll be pretty chuffed with that one. But there's still a long way to go. 3 laps here, so that's almost 16.5 kilometers of racing to go here tonight. So it's a long way to go on those tyres. And those are 2 very quick, very experienced road course drivers behind him. But don't discount Foster for sure.
Indeed. He's done pretty well. It seems like the tyres have they've dropped off by a few seconds, but then they've sort of plateaued there, and they're not going to drop off any further as long as you look after them. He's been pretty consistent pace. Roughly around the same sort of time as what the other drivers are doing around him. Maybe 0.3 of a second difference.
Meanwhile, up at the front, driver that has just started centre pace is Andrew Dyson. He's pulled out a 2.5-second lead now. Last time round, he was about half a second faster than Rosella, so Dyson definitely saving a little bit of those tyres for the end of the race. With only 2 laps remaining now, Dyson has got it's not a comfortable lead, but he has got a lead over Luke Rosella, who is having a very nice run out there. Hobson still got a bit of a gap over Cory Mcfarlane as well. Mcfarlane is catching a little bit still on Hobson, but I think it's just a bit too little too late for him. It's a long gap to catch and a long way to go to be able to catch that one. So a tricky one to get there, but he is doing a solid run and making a very solid debut as well. Michael Skurlock having to defend against Tom Freer as well. Freer is catching Skurlock. So for that P10 position, Tom Freer desperately wanting to get his first top 10 tonight. Michael Skurlock will be desperate to keep that position. So will the 350 manage to keep it ahead of the 707? We will find out in around about less than a lap and a half now for the leaders, but 2 laps for those guys. It is getting towards the final stages of the race here at Kota. Had a really entertaining race here tonight, which has been great to see.
There's lots of different strategies and battles and throughout the field. It's been hard to work out what to keep the camera on, really, and to keep watching. There's been some really good battles.
JCW made a good move on Danny G right here, a little bit further down for 16th and 17th position. The Natari car getting down the inside of the Mitch car there. Josh Carroll in 35 moving ahead and up into P16. So as I say, that it's trying to keep an eye on where to look at the moment because there's battles going on throughout the field still at this stage of the race, but it's given us a good entertaining race to watch.
It has indeed. Certainly looks like Andrew Dyson is he's sort of got this one in the bag now. He's pulled that gap out to about 2.5 seconds, so I think he's just managing that gap now. I think maybe Rosella's burnt his tyres off, just trying to catch.
Yeah, I think he's struggling now just to sort of keep it on there. The gap's gone to 3.5 seconds now, so it is
Yep.
falling back. And yeah, Rosella down in the 2:14s now rather than the 2:13s, which most other people are in. So a valiant effort there by Luke Rosella. And he really did try to put the pressure on as the white flag comes out and Dyson crosses the line for the penultimate lap tonight, coming around for one last lap. 13.5 for himself, 2 minutes 14.2 for Rosella. So Dyson has got this one, just needs to get through this last lap without any incidents, which is easier said than done sometimes. It can be very easy to make a little mistake, as Cory Mcfarlane actually coming into pit lane. So Mcfarlane coming into pit lane now. Is this for a drive-through penalty
Yeah,
chance?
I think he's got 13 incident points, so he's
It
just having
is.
to have a drive through.
That is painful because that's going to give Dylan O'Shea the opportunity to get up and past. He's going to come out just behind O'Shea, so that's going to be a battle to the end to watch. Will Mcfarlane be able to retain P4? He's going to have to get past Dylan O'Shea for that one. That is a battle to keep an eye on for the rest of the race. A little bit further back, Foster still keeping ahead of Pearson and Worley, and Skurlock keeping his P10 pretty secure at the moment. So it is not far now for Dyson to go to get his third win of the season in the Cup Series. No, second win, sorry. His second win in the Cup Series. It's always fun trying to remember where people have won races. But come for a second win, of course, getting his first win of the race at Daytona this season. Slightly better looking car at the moment for Dyson. It's not looking nearly as broken up as it did at Daytona,
Indeed,
but Dyson.
and I think he's going for the sweep as well. The truck and the Xfinity and the Cup for this week. I think he's going for the sweep.
He is indeed. He's so far got both of those under his belt. Can he do it all? It looks like he might be up for it. Just one more corner to go. Few short meters to the finish line, and it will be a clean sweep here at COTA for Andrew Dyson, and DPR taking out the victory once more tonight. A great win from Dyson. Lou Rosella, fantastic first race for him. Very strong debut for him tonight in P2. Bretton Hobson coming home third. A little bit further back, we've got the battle between Cory Mcfarlane and Dylan O'Shea. Mcfarlane desperately trying to get that P3 back, really wants to climb back up there and get his get that opportunity to get that position, but it looks like O'Shea has got a good defence. It's going to be a drag out the final corner. Can't quite do it. It is O'Shea over Mcfarlane. A good run from O'Shea. Very nice debut for Mcfarlane. Darren Lobb's going to come in for sixth position. Edward Foster managed to defend for P7. Really strong race for Foster there tonight, managing to keep the two DPRs of Pearson and Worley behind him. Michael Skurlock is just ahead of Tom Freer as well, and Skurlock's going to come around for the 10th position. What could have been for him if he didn't have those couple of spins, running the same strategy as Foster, of course. Just having a couple of spins just did not go his way. Tom Freer is going to have to settle for P11 tonight, unfortunately for him. Good recovery drive from Daniel Hederscheid as well, up to P12 now after a spin in the first corner. You can see that damage on the right side of, sorry, the left side of his car at the back where he made contact with Jason Martin. But good recovery drive from him. And it's going to be Luke Traher, Dave Douglas, Josh Micklemore. It's going to be the final real battle now. It's Josh Micklemore, Joshua Carroll-Walden, and Danny G. Those three are getting very close. Can JCW manage to get a pass in the closing minutes of this race? Get up ahead of the Mitch Motorsport cars. Gets a good run out of the final corner. Can't quite do it. It is Micklemore over Joshua Carroll-Walden, Danny G, 17th and 18th for Jason Martin there. It is Aidan Schultz, the better Schultz tonight, ahead of Jai Schultz in 20th. So really good run tonight and some great racing out there.
Yeah, good battles all throughout the field. Good finishes right to the end as well.
And unfortunately for Locked On's Tim Court, his computer crashed. Similar thing that happened to Jaden Russell a while back in the Xfinity series, I think it was. He had a computer that decided to crash on him, and it is always unfortunate when that happens. So commiserations to Tim Court, who's had a really solid run up there, but computer not wanting to play games with him tonight and cost him a decent finish. But this man out here tonight is your winner. Uh, really strong week for Dyson here at COTA. He has absolutely dominated. I think his second clean sweep from memory. I think he got a clean sweep at one of the other road courses as well. But a really strong week for him here at COTA. He is definitely the king of COTA, coming in with the wins in the truck, the Xfinity, and the Cup Series. But this one's going to be the sweetest one for him. And this is great news for his championship as well. His nearest rivals of Pearson and Martin, a little bit further down the field. Jason Martin, of course, self-confirmed, not a road course specialist, um, but he's going to be dropping down a little bit. But some really good debuts tonight as well. Luke Rosella and Mcfarlane, very strong first races for those two. Nice job, but it is Dyson celebrating in style, giving the barrier a quick clatter, but parking it up here. So let's run through that finishing order one last time. It's Andrew Dyson taking the win for DPR ahead of Luke Rosella for Synergy. Bretton Hobson in third with Dylan O'Shea in fourth, fifth with Mcfarlane, sixth for Lobb, Foster in seventh, eighth for Pearson, ninth for Worley, 10th for Skurlock, Tom Freer in 11th, 12th for Heddershine, Trahair in 13th, 14th for Douglas, Micklemore 15th, 16th for Carol Walden, 17th for Danny G, 18th for Martin, 19th for Aidan Schultz, Jai Schultz in 20th position. We go down to 21st, it's Gary Wellman over Ruben Phelps, Williams, Koch, Curtis, Jackson, Jaeger, Spencer, Nixon, Turner, and Tim Corn. The final of those cars down in 31st position. So as we wait for drivers to start lurking around the green room for their interviews, it was a really good race tonight, Matt. As we said, we had some really good action out there tonight, and look, COTA can be one of those tracks where you don't usually expect too much to happen, but we had a fair amount of action on track.
Yeah, it's always a weird combo for me, the stock cars on a track like this. Just because they're so big and heavy, and sometimes they just look slow. But um, yeah, credit to the drivers. There was some really good battles all through the race. There was that massive battle early on, which I'm amazed that there was no contact that sent anybody flying off the track or anything, and there was good respect shown and room left. Just in case people did make mistakes, like they locked up, and so it was really really good to see, and that just meant that it was a good racing, and that was kind of what we saw throughout the field. Obviously, we can't see everything, but there might have been a bit of bump and crashing later down the field that we didn't see. But yeah, from what we did see, it was really, really good.
A lot of respectful racing going on out there tonight, which was fantastic to see. So we'll grab up our third place finisher, Bretton Hobson, to the broadcast booth. Brenton Hobson, welcome back to the broadcast booth. Always a pleasure to have you up here, Hobback. Congratulations on P3 tonight. I imagine it's not the position you were quite after, but a strong race from yourself.
And it is disappointing to be that far away at the end because of what happened with the spin. But I mean, I'll happily walk away with another top three. So it's hard to be disappointed with that. But yeah, it was a pretty tough race. It was not a lot of fun out there.
No, that's a bit of a handful. The car definitely did not look easy to drive, especially on those cold tyres.
Yeah. Just I had no throttle, brake, wheel, or anything in the car, and it just went round. It's like, what do you do? I just disappointing. And then of course it cooked the tyres. So I had no speed for the last half of the race either. So it was just about trying to stay far enough ahead of Cory that I wouldn't lose a podium, really. But yeah, pretty. I don't know, just frustrating. The cars. I mean, I don't want to stand here and bash on the cars, but they're horrible. It's one of the worst combinations I've ever driven in my life. This car on a road course. So it's a shame that they're not fun to drive because I really enjoy the stock cars on road courses typically, but I didn't really enjoy that at all tonight. It was just get out there, do the best I could, and try and bank some points. And I wanted to be there for a chance at the win, but even when I was right with those guys for the whole first half of the race, I was literally going as hard as I could and just staying with them. So I wasn't like riding around with pace to burn. It was, that was the best I had. So I wasn't quite good enough to win tonight, regardless. But I would have liked to have been in a position to be good enough to win. So a little bit of frustration, but at the same time, yeah, I'll take what I've got and move on to the next one.
Exactly. I mean, look, P3, not a bad position, and especially championship-wise, a lot of your rivals finishing a fair bit further back from you, of course, tonight. So the closest, I think, was Foster. Um, yeah, Foster up there, other than Dyson, of course, in the lead of the championship. But it's a good, solid finish for you tonight, and that's kind of going to be a useful thing for the upcoming season and the championship ahead, I guess.
That's right. The DPR guys and myself and even my teammates like Luke tonight who just jumped in was really good. Tom's good. Um, it's one of those things where we can circle the road courses and know we have an advantage, as opposed to the oval tracks where some of the other guys are a lot better. So we can circle those on the calendar and target them, knowing that we can capitalize on it. But then I also need to look at guys like Andrew, who's the championship leader, maybe the guy that you're going to need to beat at the end of the season, and to only be able to run second to him at best or something still isn't going to be good enough. So there's work to be done, but at least you're right. As far as the championship goes, in a general sense, we can look at these races and come into them expecting to get good results, and it's an advantage that those guys don't necessarily. They run on the ovals, they don't necessarily get that advantage back throughout the calendar. It's a lot harder to be dominant on the ovals as it is on the road course.
Very much so. How helpful was it having some extra teammates out there tonight?
I had no idea that any of them were racing, so it was until tonight when we jumped into the practice session. So yeah, it was a surprise. Luke is a really, really good driver. Obviously, you can tell, and he's just really rapid at the minute in everything he drives. So it's exciting to have him around. I don't know if he's got intentions to do any oval stuff. I hope he does because he's a very good driver. And Tom, another good result for him tonight. Good drive for him. So hopefully we see him stick around. And he's been very competitive this season, but yet to really get any good result either. So when he's turned up, so I'd like to see those guys around more. I mean, the DPR guys have got an advantage in most races with several cars right around the front to race with. So if we can get ourselves in a position to be like that, then that's that levels the playing field for us a bit.
Absolutely. Tom almost getting that top 10 finish tonight. Just a tiny bit off Michael Skurlock. So he's getting close, and it's good to see. And obviously, Luke, really good debut tonight, getting a P2. Hopefully, we might get a word with him, but it looks like he might not be able to make it up into the chat room. So unfortunate about that one. But from yourself, another strong finish this season. You've been circling the podium quite a few times, and that win, I'm sure it's going to come close. And put yourself down on the ovals. We've seen a big improvement from yourself there. You definitely are on form to getting that win soon. I've got to say.
Oh, I certainly hope so. Like I said last week, I'm not here to run second and third and things like that. I want to win the races. So um, I hope that we get that win sooner rather than later. I don't want it to drag on, but the road course, I feel like we sort of hit our potential pretty quick. So there's a bit of a worry there that Dyson was so good tonight, but on the ovals, I feel like I'm still learning stuff every time I hit the track. So you say you've seen improvements, and I feel like I'm getting better, but I still think that there's a lot to learn. So fingers crossed, I can just keep on getting that experience, getting more laps under my belt, more good results, and I know I'm a good points racer. I can race well for points, but it's just trying to get that final hurdle to have the raw pace to outright win races that I want to be able to get right. So I think give it some time. We're heading into some short track stuff next. We were good at the Clash, and that was our first go in the car at all anywhere. So fingers crossed that translates onto some of these other places, and we can get our nose to the finish line first somewhere along the way.
Well, I mean, if Phoenix is anything to go by as well, you had some really good pace there too. So I think short tracks are definitely going to be one to watch out for yourself, Brendan Hobson. But congratulations on tonight. Well done for a very strong finish. Just unfortunate we didn't get to see that battle at the end that we were kind of hoping for. But another strong race from you and another strong top three finish. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and up to sponsors.
Yeah, thanks to the guys in the team that come out tonight. It was good. And to the sponsors we had on the car, different sponsor tonight. I don't know if that came through or not, but Smith and Sons, main sponsor on the car tonight. So it's good to have them around, and DGD Customs and all the others that make the wheels go around for the team. And shout out to you guys as well for all the hard work that you put in here on the broadcast. Always looks really good.
Right, look, you're always welcome. Thank you so much for giving us a great race out there tonight, and I'm sure we'll catch you back in the booth soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Brenton Hobson there for Synergy Sim Racing. Really good night for them tonight. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Luke's able to jump up into the chat, so we won't be able to get a chat with the P2 finisher. But we will grab up our race winner. I guess the bookies, not to the bookies' surprise. But it wasn't easy out there for him tonight. A very close run at the end. Andrew Dyson for DPR, congratulations on a clean sweep this week at COTA for the ANZCAR series and your victory here in the Cup.
Hey guys, thanks man. That was a tough one, mate. That was a fair income race, like what we were expecting. So that was a lot of fun.
That was really, really fun to watch there. We saw Luke and Brenton giving you a run for your money tonight. Obviously, that first stint, they were pretty much on your tail all night long there, and that little bit of the undercut looked like it helped you out a bit.
Yeah, those first 15 or 14 laps or whatever they were that went for an eternity, I'll tell you. But when I thought I pitted early, I thought this is a bit risky, but hopefully it can give me a gap, and it kind of did. And I always knew either Brenton or Luke had come back, or whoever else had pitted or whatever. And yeah, when he started coming back at me, I thought, oh shit, it's worse than the first 15 laps now. Like, what am I going to do? Excuse me, I shouldn't say that. But yeah, no, that was tough. That was a tough race, and full props to all the guys that showed up tonight. Just on the down low, it would have been nicer if there was a few more new guys in between me and the regulars, but it didn't quite work out that way. But still, it's awesome to see a lot of new faces, and hopefully they can stick around for the oval races, because this is it's a great series to get involved in, and I think they'd really enjoy it.
Well, talking about that, I mean, you managed to build a bit of a gap over a couple of the championship rivals, which is always a nice thing. Of course, we saw Neil Pearson down in eighth position at the end, and Foster up into P7. But Hobbo is definitely shaping up to be a bit of a championship rival now.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think he won one of the Thunder series last year, so he knows what he's doing, 100%, and he's showed that already. And we all know how good he is on everything, so he'll be right there, 100%.
No, look, it was fantastic to watch. I mean, got to ask now, how did you find the new generation of Cup car?
And it's funny. I was just having a good chat to Lockie Yu in the green room there, and we're both kind of chatting about how the car does some pretty wonky stuff. I think I still prefer the Gen 6 car on road courses, although that car was it had a lot of tire dig and it got really slippery. It was nicer to drive, and a little more predictable. This thing's pretty wild at times, so I think I still prefer the old one. But yeah, we're getting our head around this one slowly, I think, and so are all the other guys, obviously. So it'll be all right.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a handful, and those opening laps, obviously for the tyres and the brakes, especially getting up to temperature, it does look a bit of a wild ride out there.
Yeah, first lap is pretty hairy on fresh tires. That's for sure. But that's no different to what it's like on an oval. So that wasn't really unexpected. But yeah, it's hairy, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. It's definitely a bit of a beast to get your head around, but you've absolutely tamed it tonight. Congratulations on getting the win, and as I said, the triple for the week as well. You must be pretty stoked with that one.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Obviously, the other two races, not to disrespect anybody in ANZCAR, but they're here to race ovals first. So they're out there having a crack and giving it their best shot though. So that's great to see. But yeah, tonight was the real race. I don't want to sound rude, but yeah, tonight was the big race this week with a few really fast road guys, and
And it's
yeah,
hard.
happy to get it done. Happy to get it done.
it's hard to keep. It's you don't want to be disrespectful, but it's hard sometimes because there is such a pace deficit. It is one of those tricky things. But I think everybody knows that. But it is closing up, which is a good thing. We saw at the end there, that there was not sort of the sort of big long gaps. It's nice to see those starting to close up a little bit and not running away with it, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of guys getting a lot better. I've noticed, Hamish, Gallagher getting better on the roads. I think Michael Moore got a podium the other day, so that was really cool to see. Ed's getting a lot faster as well, so everyone's picking it up, no doubt. It's probably the road course stuff is becoming more and more a part of the series, particularly with the cup stuff, the cup racing. So everyone's getting stuck into it, and it's great.
Yeah, that's it. We just got to see how you do on the odd ovals next.
Yeah, we'll keep trying. Yeah, we'll keep trying. Yoda's still helped us out with everything, so he's still the man. Obviously, he keeps beating me, the bastard. So.
No, look, congratulations tonight, Di. So before I let you go, the usual thing, a shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, thanks everyone who showed up tonight. It's a tough track, and a lot of people probably aren't super enthusiastic about it, particularly with the car at the moment. So props to everyone who showed up and had a run. Thanks to ANZCAR for putting it all together as usual. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Shout out to all the boys at DPR. I can't even remember what I used to say now. What was it? Full credit to the boys over at DPR. That's the one. And shout out to simrigs.com, South Bell Listen Hoists, Bamex Mechanical, and NP Designs for helping us get it done. And just on the DL, if you're in Melbourne, come on down to Meatfest on the weekend. We'll have a stand down there with a couple of rigs and a few other bits and bobs. So come say hello.
Congratulations! I hope a few people show up for that one and get to try your meat.
We won't be cooking, but there'll be we'll have like a smoker there as well.
No, awesome stuff. Congratulations on the win, Dyson. Well done, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.
And looks like we might have Luke Rosella in. We'll just drag him up to see if he is available. See if this one actually works for us. Luke Rosella, welcome to the broadcast booth. Congratulations on a very, very nice debut tonight and a P2.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was a lot of fun. Didn't really know what to expect. Never sort of driven this car before tonight, so yeah, it was good fun.
That's a scary prospect. You set the fastest lap tonight in a car that you're not used to. Obviously, a bit of a late moment for you to jump in. New to ANZCAR, new to the series, and new to the Cup car, obviously. It went pretty well for you tonight.
Yeah, qualifying was pretty good, and yeah, the first sort of stint, so really concentrated on keeping the tyres on the thing, just staying behind Dyson, and sort of sensed a bit of an opportunity towards the end of this first stint. So I had a bit of a go, and too much of a go, and locked the front. So yeah, conceded to Hobbo. So I was in third, and Dyson sort of pitted early, so I had to cover him because the undercut, especially this car, is pretty strong. So yeah, pitted the lap after him, and yeah, it was a bit of a gap to him at the start of the second stint, so I had to do some qualifying laps to catch him, and yeah, I think I overcooked my tyres a little bit towards the ends because he stretched the gap out a bit at the ends, but I'll certainly take P2 for my first run.
Look, a very nice one indeed. We saw Daiso set the fastest lap of a 2:11.8, and we're thinking nobody's going to beat that. And then all of a sudden you cross the line with a 2:11.5. So definitely some good qualifying runs out there, showing your pace. Obviously, first time out there, it's a tricky car to get your head around. It's a very different car to drive, and it is still obviously a very new car, still a lot of development to it. How tough was it just to get your head around it?
Yeah, it's a lot different to the old generation car, and even the Xfinity and the Truck Series cars on a road course. You sort of got to drive it like an open wheeler, like a prototype with especially the downforce and the rear diffuser. So yeah, it's pretty difficult. I feel it gets easier as the tires fall off. I think Darso said that before. It gets a bit easier once the tires sort of fall off. But yeah, especially on cold tires in the first lap, you got to really push it to get the lap time out of it. But if you step over the mark, the consequences are quite big. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting car to drive, but it's really fun.
Now, next big question, of course, is going to be: are we going to see you back in ANZCAR?
I'm a bit of a road course guy, so yeah, I'll definitely be attending all the rest of the road course races. I might have a go at an oval. We'll see, but yeah, definitely more road course rounds for me. Maybe even in the truck and Xfinity series, we'll see.
Well, we hope to see you out there. It's always a pleasure to get some new faces in, especially some fast drivers. We'd love to see it. Congratulations on tonight. Hopefully, we'll get to see you back in the broadcast booth again sometime this season. But well done for P2 on debut tonight here at Kota League.
Thanks, mate. It was good fun. Thanks for
And
holding the race.
no, that you're more than welcome. Before I let you go, we have the tradition of shout out and love to sponsors. So if you'd like to give you a shout out to anyone.
Oh yeah, thanks for obviously ANZCAR for putting on the event. Thanks for everyone for coming, for having a go, and yeah, I want to thank Wave Runner Performance Centre, JK Signs, and Synergy Sim Racing for their support of the team. It's good.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again, and hopefully we'll catch you back in the booth sometime soon.
Thanks, mate.
So, Matt, we are done and dusted with Kota. We are finished with the road courses for a little bit of time now.
We are indeed, yeah. I think, do we head to Richmond next week, is it?
Yes,
Short track
Richmond
racing?
next up. So, off to Richmond, then Martinsville, and then comes the real challenge for everybody. It is Bristol, of course, with its
Ooh.
lovely new dirt surface. So,
Oh,
just a reminder to all the drivers out there as well. If you are watching, you do need to have your license up to B class. So, if you are if you're not quite got that on dirt yet, make sure to put in a little bit of a grind to get that one because yeah, you do need to have your license up to B class to run in the Cup Series on road and dirt as well. So just something to keep in mind there. But that's an absolute different challenge. But tonight we saw some new faces, we saw some great runs, and we saw a great race here at Kota.
we did indeed. It was a lot more interesting than what I thought it was going to be, actually. I thought it was going to be just a bit of a procession, but it was good and close, and it was definitely pretty good racing.
Absolutely. It's what we love to see. Look, a big thank you to 24/7 Sim Services, of course, the sponsor for the ANZCAR Cup. A big thank you to everybody out there as well for watching. It's without you guys, we couldn't keep it going and we wouldn't keep it going. So a big thank you to everybody that's watched this race live and, of course, watched it on replay. If you could give the video and the replay a bit of a like and share around things, it always does help out a little bit, of course. But as always, a big thank you tonight to Mr. Matt Hunter for working the cams and also being co-commentator tonight and also getting these lovely graphics up to date. And myself, Carl Wilkinson, with you, wishing you a lovely night, and we will see you next night from Richmond.
Good night.